Booyah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. If you haven't heard already, which I'm pretty sure you guys have, Donald Trump imposing massive tariffs on Canada, although a lot of media outlets are leaving out why Donald Trump is imposing these tariffs. Again, there's a lot of positives, a lot of negatives to this. I want to start with the facts, the articles, and then we're going to get into why we may see the end of Justin Trudeau out of this, and why. I know we talk about that from time to time. I know people get sick of it. Stick with me, folks. We got a lot to talk about on this one, and why I think there's a possibility, but also why I don't think it's going to happen or hope it doesn't happen. Let's get into it. First off, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, if you're enjoying this content, please make sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment on the way out, as well as hitting that subscribe button. All three of those things help the channel immensely, and you're doing me a huge favor by just leaving that thumbs up and comment to push this video out in the algorithm to get past the shadow bans that go from talking negatively about good old Captain Tampon. I mean, Justin Trudeau. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into it. I'm going to show an article here from the CBC, the Clown Broadcasting Corporation, because essentially what they're doing here is reporting what they want to report. They're reporting their propaganda to make it sound like Orange Man bad and Justin Trudeau's sweet innocent victim in this whole case. I'm going to show where that's wrong, but here we go with them saying that Trump is threatening a 25% tariff on all products from Canada and Mexico. Trump has leveled his most severe threat against Canada in years, warning that on his first day in office, he might impose punishing economic sanctions across North America. U.S. President-elect threatened Monday evening to slap a 25% tariff on all products entering the country from Canada and Mexico on January 20th on his inauguration day, unless countries curb the flow of drugs and migrants across the borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such a time as drugs, in particular the old Fenty drugs and all illegal aliens, stop the invasion of our country, Trump wrote on his social media platform Truth Social. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time that they do, it is time for them to pay a very big price. Again, setting it up that, Donald Trump is just saying, hey, use your powers or else. That's not really the case here, but really slapping it down hard on Justin Trudeau, making everyone aware that the United States has suffered immeasurable losses with their open border policies from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Essentially, he's doing what he has to fix it for his country. He's essentially calling out Justin Trudeau for dropping the ball in Canada. The warning was sent to as the Canadian dollar drove nearly a cent at one point before it recovered somewhat. Such an important fee would incur untold economic damage, driving up costs for Canadians and Mexican goods in most critical markets. This all unfolded coincidentally as Canadian cabinet ministers were meeting to discuss U.S. relations, said a federal source. The news also prompted a flurry of late evening phone calls between Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Trump, and between Trudeau and several provincial premiers in an effort to diffuse the danger to Canada's economy. It's to diffuse Justin Trudeau getting pushed out of Parliament. Again, I'm going to get into that later on in the video. Stick with me, because there's a couple scenarios here that could come out of this. It was a good discussion, and they will stay in touch, a Canadian official said of the Trudeau-Trump phone call. The Prime Minister also spoke with the premiers of Ontario and Quebec. Not any other provinces that matter, because those are the only two Justin cares about. Trump's complaint about the Canadian border didn't come out of nowhere. Irregular migration through Canada and the U.S. has multiplied in recent years. Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, has recently referred to the northern border as national security threat and an easy access point for Terry's. In terms of overall numbers, there's no comparing the northern and southern borders. Among all people stopped by U.S. Border Patrol trying to enter the U.S. in between checkpoints last year, cases on the Canadian side amounted to barely 1% of the total. Trudeau pointed out that to Trump during their phone call that the federal source said Canada has also taken steps in recent months to address U.S. concerns, reimposing visa requirements on travelers from Mexico and announcing different cutbacks in immigration. So again, Justin's trying to fumble and say, well, we're sending back temporary foreign workers, but he doesn't want to comment about, mass vehicle thefts or crime rates or the fact that people are living in tents that There's no jobs for anybody. The economy is the worst it's ever been. And here's what's funny again is that people are asking, the news goes into, this is where they get their propaganda in. Is it a negotiation ploy? Is it part of a plan? I'm going to touch base on what I think the plan is, but what's most important is to bring up the tweet here. As friend of the channel Ryan Garrettson points out, here is the post. CBC left out most of the details of his post and only cherry-picked what they wanted. As everyone is aware, thousands of people are pouring through Mexico and Canada, bringing crime and drugs at levels never seen before. Right now, a caravan coming from Mexico, composed of thousands of people, seems to be unstoppable in its quest to come through our currently open border. On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Canada and Mexico a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl drugs, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand they use this power, and until such time they do, it is time for them to pay a very big price, essentially saying that we're not dealing with open borders anymore. We're not dealing with the crime. We're not dealing with the drugs. We're not dealing with all the negatives that come with these open borders. Essentially, Trump is pushing, saying, fix your problems or else. He's got every right to. Things have gotten completely out of control. We've seen many responses come through since Trump made this announcement. Nothing really from Justin Trudeau's office, again, other than the quote saying that the phone call went well. But Premier Doug Ford weighed in. And this is where things could get a little bumpy for Canadians. Ford stated a 25% tariff would be devastating to workers and jobs in both Canada and the US. We need a Team Canada approach and response. We need it now, Ford wrote. Prime Minister Trudeau must call an urgent meeting with all premiers. I agree. You don't just talk to Ontario and Quebec. Now, this is going to be devastating to Canadian jobs. You're going to see things shift rapidly in the market. And when investors' dollars start to get jumbled up, when jobs start to go out the window, when everything is collapsing around the house of cards that is the federal government, it starts to spell doomsday for guys like Justin Trudeau. I want to put out the statement made by Crystia Freeland. It's funny that Justin Trudeau hasn't released a statement as of the filming of this video, but we have one from Crystia Freeland. Canada and the United States have one of the strongest and closest relationships, particularly when it comes to trade and border security. Canada places the highest priority on border security and the integrity of our shared border. Boy, isn't that laughable. I mean, Crystia Freeland playing it off like, this is no big problem. She's doing what they do in question period. We'll just make a simple statement, sweep it under the rug, and move along, hoping that nothing comes of it. Our relationship today is balanced and mutually beneficial, particularly for American workers. Today, Canada buys more from the United States than China, Japan, France, and the UK combined. Canada is essential to U.S. domestic energy supply, and last year, 60% of U.S. crude oil imports originated in Canada. Law enforcement agencies from our respective countries, the RCMP and CBSA and the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and U.S. Customs and Border Protection work together every single day to disrupt the scourge of certain drugs coming from China and other countries. In addition, the CBSA is continuously strengthening its ability to detect them through enhanced inspections at port entry, detector dogs, and emerging technologies, preventing such drugs from entering and leaving Canada. We will, of course, continue to discuss these issues with the incoming administration. Now, again, basically a long-winded question period style answer saying there's no problem here, nothing to see. Donald Trump's completely out of his mind. Everything's fine in Canada. In fact, we have some of the best practices in the world to ensure that doesn't happen in Canada. You're talking about a country where Justin Trudeau has legalized the sale of hard drugs. You're talking about a country where crime is at an all-time high, where people can just walk across the border, and while they are arrested, they're given $9,000 a month in living expenses in order to wait for their court dates, in order to live in our country, while, again, our veterans, our seniors are left with nothing. People are living in tents. We could go on forever. Essentially, Donald Trump has called out their bullshit, enough is enough. And what this is going to do is put tremendous strain on Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party of Canada, because now it's not really taxpayer money that's being affected. It's not just the old plebs that Justin Trudeau tosses breadcrumbs like his $250 rebate check, if he can call it that, to us, or our GST break over the winter to. He's now going to be affecting the cost of goods. He's going to be closing down businesses, costing jobs to go out the window. The pressure on him at this point is insurmountable. Essentially, what Donald Trump has done here is put forward a plan to force an election in Canada, to say that Justin Trudeau doesn't have what's necessary to control the border. You're going to see in the House of Commons over the next few days, Pierre Poilievre raising that an election needs to be called. You're probably going to see the Bloc raising that an election needs to be called. This could push Justin Trudeau out the door. And while people say it's not going to happen, I can tell you right now, as the person reporting on this, I hope it doesn't happen. And I'll tell you why. If Justin Trudeau slammers his way through to next October, which, by the way, the elections commissioner has also stated that there will be no extension on the election granted. So all of those Liberal MPs and NDP MPs that have stuck behind Justin for so long will not be getting those days extended to make their pensions, which is good news for Canadians. But nonetheless, what it means essentially is that if Trudeau waits until next October, even if punishable tariffs are placed on this country, it means that this is the end, not only of Justin Trudeau, but the Liberal Party. His party would be so decimated by the time that this would happen in an election after these tariffs from Donald Trump, after 8 months of Trump. Rest assured, I don't believe personally the Liberal Party of Canada, more likely even in the NDP, would hold party status in the House of Commons. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think we're going to see pressure for an election? Do you think that this is the nail in the coffin to push for an election? Or do you think that we're going to still stumble our way through to next October and see Justin come out on top, refusing to step down? Let me know your thoughts down below. Again, I hope he sticks around. I'd love to see the Liberal Party absolutely decimated in the next election. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Don't forget again to hit that subscribe bar, click your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday for Friday Night Fringe as we go over everything that's happened this week in politics, everything coming up in the week ahead, as well as some back and forth and Q&A within our community. It's always a pleasure for myself and my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, to sit with you guys every Friday night going over all these things and hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos. I look forward to seeing you all there this Friday starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.